Hello. Hello everybody, it's Lisa here. I am at Packers. Welcome to our Thursday Seaside Semiahmoo cooking demo. Words are always hard for me. Here at Packers at Semiahmoo Resort Golf and Spa, and we are so excited to have you join us today. So just wait a minute and let people find us and join on. And hi, Nikki. So thank you guys for watching with my glasses. Why did your makeup like sweat under your glasses? I don't know. If someone could invent non-sweating makeup for eyeglass wearers, that would be awesome. Sorry, completely off topic, but you know, that's me. Just thank you guys again for all of your support and love. We just really have felt the love so much. And this last weekend we opened Packers up for the first time since March 16th. We are opening on the weekends only right now for the month of June. We are open on Fridays and Saturdays from 4 till 9 and Sundays from 4 till 8. And it's takeout, but we do have some limited seating available, all socially distanced, of course. And you can pick up your food, and we have little buzzers. So you pick a table, we have a buzzer, and we'll let you know when your food's ready. You come pick it up, go back and sit down. We have 80 acres out here, so there is a lot of room to be socially distanced and find an amazing place to sit. If the weather's not nice, we do have, hi Marky, we do have some seating inside as well if the weather does turn. So we're so happy to be opened. Those of us that were here on Friday, it was like, oh, joy to my soul just to be open again and have people walk through the doors, and we were able to open the doors to the outside and just have people. And just, you know, we're in this business because we like people, so we, most of the time, but we love to have people here, so we're so excited. So today Chef Devin is going to be making our famous Giapino, and I think, did I say that right? Giapino. It's one of the first things that I tried when I came here to Semiahmoo. About 3.5 years I've been here now, and it is probably the best Giapino that I've ever had. It is just a lovely, it's kind of like, for those who don't know who that is, it's like almost like a fish stew. It's just a seafood stew. It's amazing. It's lovely. And I'm all about the sauce. So it has tons of sauce. So you want to dip your bread in the sauce and soak it all up, and it's just, it's delicious. So that's what he is going to be teaching us to make today. And I am using my gimbal, and so you'll have to forgive my camera skills once again, as always. And without further ado, I think Devin is about ready here for us. Oh, and I am pairing the wine today. I was thinking Gewürztraminer, but I didn't have any Gewürztraminer in our cellar. It is a tomato base, but if you are a white wine person, I think a Gewürztraminer or a Viognier would pair really nicely with the Giapino. But we have today, we're pairing it with J-Lore's Pinot Noir. So J-Lore is actually coming here. We are doing a wine dinner with them in July. I'm so excited. I love J-Lore. It's just such a consistent winery. I know pretty much everybody knows who they are, but all of their wines, their Chardonnay is absolutely spectacular. They're most known for their Cab Sauv, but their Pinot Noir is also really lovely. I actually really like California Pinot Noirs. They're a little bit more juicy, definitely fruit forward. So those of you who don't like that earthy Pinot Noir that is a little bit more common from the Oregon, you will like the California one. So definitely try it. Don't ever rule out a type of wine because you tried it once. That doesn't mean that they all taste the same, because they don't. All right, without further ado, I gotta try to use, am I doing this right? No, I never do it right. Oh, there, almost, there we go.
Hello, welcome. So we are today going to be making, like Lise was saying, our Giapino, which is a fisherman's stew that was originally comes from Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. It made its way into a couple of famous restaurants, but it started out in immigrants' homes and fishermen that were just working on the fishing boats down at Fisherman's Wharf before it became a tourist site and a very active fishing port it was back then. And so what we're going to do is ours isn't necessarily made with the scrap fish that a lot of the immigrants were using in their home. It's a little bit more of the restaurant style. So we will be posting the recipe online for sure, but I will walk through our technique and how we do it, and a little bit of explanation of how we the addition of the product, which is one of the more important steps. So to start, we use our woodstone oven to do it, and so I have a little pan here heating up, ready to go, and so I like to always start with a hot pan when you're working with oil or anything else. Oil expands immediately, and you also get a good sear and a lot of heat with a hot pan to start with. If you use a cold pan to start, like say you're doing, a lot of times I'll sear salmon or sear steaks in a cold pan to start, and then you raise the temperature really quick and fast. Well, that's a specific technique. This is a different technique where we're just going to use a hot pan already, and then that actually, when we're busy and in service, we'll have a whole bunch of pans in the oven so that we can make this as fast as possible. This is one of the dishes that takes probably the longest here at Packers to make, anywhere from 10 plus minutes for us just to put it together ourselves. And so it's one of our longest dishes, but it's well worth it, and we can't do anything to speed it up that doesn't compromise the quality. So, all right, so we got our pan here. We're going to start by moving over to our ingredients, and if you want to pan over and take a look at all the ingredients we have down here. So I'm going to start with some white wine, our Skagit River chorizo sausage, and what we're going to do is we're going to add our sausage, we're going to add fennel, and we're going to add some garlic, as well as some crushed chili pepper flakes, and then we're going to put this back in the oven, and we're going to start to render this down. So we got this in over here. I'm going to crank up the heat a little bit, and we'll get started. So the next part is we have a fennel tomato broth, which is actually made from canned tomatoes, drained and then pureed. And so again, you can use fresh, but as far as consistency goes, we use the same type of tomatoes that we use for our pizza sauce, which is San Marzano tomatoes. Very amazing, wonderful, ripe tomatoes. They actually, I think if you've ever heard this before, but canning tomatoes and heating tomatoes to make ketchup or tomatoes or something else actually brings out the lycopene in the tomatoes, and lycopene, if anybody knows, is one of the red components in food that is actually antioxidant and cancer fighting. So that's one of those ones where canned product isn't necessarily worse. Dried product, that type of stuff. So there are several instances where I'll go and we'll buy some really amazing canned sardines or anchovies or something else, and they're not necessarily cheap. They're incredibly high quality, done in sea salt and olive oil per se. And so there's quite a few options out there for canned tomatoes, canned goods that are actually incredibly high quality. There's several stores in Europe and other places that are like 100% canned food, starting at $100 a can for things that are about like this big. So we've got our tomato sauce there. This is, like I said, a tomato fennel broth. We will have the recipe online. This is a dry white wine, which is what we have working in the oven right now to render down our chorizo, our fennel, a little bit of garlic, and a little bit of chili pepper flakes. So again, I've got those in. We're letting this go for a little bit until we get some heat on it. All right. So here we are. Starting to get there.
The fennel's so good.
I'll get that back in. So I want to keep this heating up while we're working, so I'm going to leave it right on the edge of the oven, and then I'm going to go back over here and grab some of our ingredients and slowly start to add more. And so one of the next ingredients that we're going to add is actually our tomato fennel broth. We've started to render down a little bit. I'm going to add this. This is cold, so I want to heat it up a little bit. Once this is a little bit more heated, then we're going to add the rest of our seafood.
I can't see what I'm doing.
So here we go. We got about a cup and a half of our fennel broth. So this is looking pretty thick right now. We can always thin it out, and we're going to be adding seafood, which has moisture. We're also going to be adding clams and mussels. Those all have moisture, so that's going to add to this dish. So we're going to put that back in and keep our heat going on that. So the next step is to bring up our temperature so that it's nice and hot. And once that's hot, we'll start to add the rest of our seafood. And again, it'll go pretty quick once we got the pan hot. But at this point, it can take a little bit to get the product started. So I'm going to shove it a little bit further in the back. This is another one of our techniques. The hottest part of this oven is in the middle on the very back. So this right here will be the hottest spot that I'm working. But if I want to brown the top or get a little bit more color, pizzas and things like that, we'll put it over right next to the flame. Now the deck in the middle here is actually hotter than the deck right here because of the residual heat. But the ambient air 4 inches above that is much hotter than it is over here. And so this is actually gonna be, this right in here is gonna be one of our hottest spots. And so I'm gonna pull out now. Set. It's pretty hot in there. We're rolling at almost 650 degrees on the deck. So that again should mean that we're pretty hot at this point. So we are going to go in here. I'm going to give it a quick stir with our wooden spoon. And again, I prefer a wooden spoon to use because I don't want to tap the metal, the aluminum too much with anything metal. It will, especially with acidic stuff, tomatoes, wine, that type of stuff. If you have that in here and you touch with your metal spoon, you will get some kind of metallic taste out of it. Plus, you will start to dent these pans, and they won't have as much life. So we're going to go back over here, and now that we've got some nice heat, we've got a nice little bit of reduction going on. We're going to add our seafood. Actually, we're going to start with our clams. So we got some wonderful manila clams here. We got some fresh Penn Cove mussels. And then we are going to start these first because the mussels and clams take a little bit longer than our shrimp, cod, and salmon will. So we're going to go back in here. And again, you know, we're trying to get this out for dinner service, so we're going to push this all the way back in the back and get this as hot as we can. If you've ever come in to dine here at Packers and you've had the opportunity to see us working at the oven, you'll see a lot of action, a lot of activity. We adjust the temperature a lot. We're moving product around in the oven to keep it in a constant rotation of heat. And anytime you put something down on the deck, it changes the temperature of the hearth, that deck. And so the more I move this, it's actually like turning up the bottom heat on it a lot. And so even if I just drag it right out of the footprint that it was in, and it's just a little bit further out, now it's another heat source. It's actually, because the pan would have dropped the temperature where it was sitting before. So this method right here is actually turning it up and doing the, like a literally hot heat, much hotter on the bottom of that pan. So again, I'll grab my wooden spoon and we'll give it a stir.
We're going to check the comments here.
Yeah, go for it.
We have, who won the sangria contest a long time ago? Oh, it was posted and we did contact the winners. So you probably have to check back on our Facebook page and just look at the old videos and the postings because I believe that it was posted. I'll double check. But yeah, hi Tracy. Thank you guys for joining us. But yeah, Aaron, we did post the winners. At least we were supposed to. So I know that we did talk about it, and then I know we sent them a little thank you as well. So.
All right, so we're getting pretty close. What I'm waiting for now is a little bit more action in our seafood, in our shellfish in particular. So what I want is to start opening up a little bit if possible. So I think we're getting close. I see a couple of the clams opening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in. I'm going to wait for a mussel to open.
Right, and so we always want to make sure that they're open, not
absolutely.
closed.
Never want to open shellfish that has been cooked and didn't open itself. Never pry open a clam unless it's dead, or I mean unless it's alive still, and never pry open a mussel unless it's alive as well, because you don't want to, that's where you'll get seafood poisoning, red tides and things like that. And sometimes the only way to know that is the fact that that shellfish didn't open. So when we're cooking clams and mussels in the kitchen, we always throw in, say if our par is 15 or 20 mussels, we always throw in 4 or 5 extra because they might not open. And if they don't open, we throw those away before they even make it out to your table, if we can. But the most important thing is to not pry open anything that is fully cooked. Oysters the same thing. You can definitely pry them open all day long when they're raw, but when they're cooked, if they don't open on their own,
don't
not
eat them.
Not a good trick. All right, so
Oh, look at that.
here we are. We got our opening going on. So I'm going to go over here, and what we have now, I'm going to add our shrimp, some cod, some of our wonderful local line caught Nurka salmon.
Such good salmon. Oh my gosh, it's the best.
Then I'm going to do a little bit of salt and pepper. It was starting to look a little thick, so I'm going to add a little bit more wine. Now this is another technique. Now while we're in the oven, when I go back with this, instead of going all the way into the back and forcing the cut seafood, the salmon, cod, and shrimp, instead of pushing those all the way in the back and forcing them to brown and cook much quicker, the reason I added all the liquid first is I want that to cook in the liquid slowly. And so it won't take much long after this, but what I don't want is overcooked and broken down seafood. So what I'm going to do is gently stir it here. I want to get this seafood down into the broth, get some of the clams up above and mussels, because they can deal with the dry heat and still open quite well. So there we are. And this is another one. I'm going to go right into the middle here. We'll go further in the back, and it shouldn't take too long before this is done. So, it'll be about 2 minutes at that level. So one of the other ingredients, one of the finishing touches that we have that we serve here are our wonderful Avenue sourdough bread, and then also what is referred to as a roux. We make ours a saffron roux, which is quite similar to what they use on a bouillabaisse. And so a bouillabaisse is the French-style fisherman stew, but it's much lighter with a court bouillon and a broth instead of a thick kind of tomato paste. It's much lighter, much cleaner. And then we're also going to finish it with some fresh herbs and some lemon juice. Never want to add lemon juice too early. If you boil lemon juice, it always it has a tendency to get a little bitter instead of just a little tart and sour. And so what we want is tart and sour, not bitter. And so we're going to add a little bit of lemon right at the very end. Garnish it with our roux. I'm going to add some fresh herbs when I'm stirring it at the last minute, and then we're going to toast some bread here. So, and this again will go right on our. Make sure we got clean space there. And again, we toast right on our hearth because our hearth is at about 625 degrees right now. So let's check, see how we're going. It's probably been about a minute since I said it'll take about 2. So again, we got a nice boil on it.
Wow.
You can see our seafood is cooked. So now knowing this judgment, I got a couple of clams that haven't fully opened. So we're going to give them an opportunity. The other thing to do with clams before you just throw them away is and knock and see if anybody's home.
And what does that do?
It'll make them respond. If they don't respond, same thing when they're raw. You can actually, not raw, when they're still alive and they're in the water and you're purging them. Which, by the way, just to speak about clams and how to purge clams and mussels. Mussels you don't want to purge. You want to leave them in the sac that they come in, just like oysters, because that sac actually creates a pressure that's similar to water pressure for them. They enjoy that. clams, I like to store in salted water, salted enough to the taste, what would remind you of the sea. Try to use good sea salt if you can, nothing over that, and then a small amount of cornmeal. It helps get in there. Semolina will work, sometimes heavier ground flour. What you're looking for is a protein, something that they'll eat and get rid of that, get rid of any grit or any sand in them. Another thing to talk about with clams, never ever store them in anything but, well, never store metal. So plastic is fine, ceramic is fine, but you never want any kind of metallicness in that water. And so you'll always, even when you see seafood tanks and stuff like that, even at large places, Taylor, and, the big companies and stuff like that, you'll notice that the majority of their tanks are either plastic or glass. So. All right, so we got our toast. And here we go. We have our ciappino. So again, I'm going to look through here. Looks like we've got 3, maybe 4 clams that didn't fully open. This guy seems to be okay. That guy. I'm going to lose probably about 3 clams out of this. So we're going to go over here. We'll go through and find our don't want to eat because we don't take a chance with shellfish. Open, not open. Highlighted our mussels too. Looks like all of our mussels opened up really nicely. Yep, and everything. So here we are. I'm going to add a little fresh herbs. Fresh lemon juice.
Oh, you got this smell. It's amazing.
And again, fresher the better. You don't want anything too old. All right. So here we are. Like I said, this is our saffron rouille, which is a French kind of mayonnaise, but it is bread based, and so they actually use old stale bread soaked in white wine and then pureed with egg to almost kind of make like a mayo consistency. So it's quite unique, and it's French, and they don't let anything go to waste. So obviously they're using their old stale bread to do this. Squirt bottle malfunction. There we go.
There.
All right. Little more of our fresh mixed herbs here. And some of our wonderful toasted Avenue sourdough bread.
Wow.
There we go. So, well, thank you for joining us. And again, come on down this weekend if you want to try it in-house. We will be posting the recipe if you want to try it at home. So, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for joining us. Oh, do you want to see the dish? Sorry. Okay, I tilted it down. Am I getting it?
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
I'm going to post a picture of it as well. I won't forget. Yeah, it would be a lot more fun if you could eat what Devin's making, but you can eat it because you can come down to Packers this weekend. We are open this weekend, Friday and Saturday 4 till 9, and then Sunday 4 till 8, and you can order the ciappino because it's on the menu. So, and we have wine, and we have beer, and we have cocktails, and we have one of the best ocean views in the Pacific Northwest. So come on down. We'd love to see you. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Take care. See you next time.